Right. So the date is the 19th of March 2026, and we meet as usual on our Thursday, as we do every Thursday, for the study of the Pan-African philosophy and ideology of Consciencism. So Consciencism is the philosophy and the ideology for the decolonization, with particular reference to the African Revolution. It is a summary, if you like, of the philosophy and the ideology that led the decolonization movement of the African continent, and put together in a book by who has been called the father of Pan-Africanism, Osagyefo Dr. Kwame Nkrumah. And so we are studying it because it is our position that the leaders of Africa must be armed with this perspective if they are to liberate the continent completely, totally liberate the continent, so that the continent can be united and to develop. Welcome, Sister Tapua. Welcome, Sister Portia. Welcome, Brother Setshaba. And welcome, Sister Hudaya, who I believe is joining us for the first time. Brother Setshaba has volunteered to read. So in a moment, brother is going to read, and we shall listen as he reads very slowly so we can take it in. And after Brother Setshaba reads, we shall then go round and ask everyone to share their thinking. Of course, you can always ask us to come back later to you, etc., etc. Before I proceed and ask Brother Setshaba to read, Sister Tapua, are you in a position to chair today? I know sometimes your internet.
Yes, unfortunately not. It's raining here, and I'm not sure. I'm not confident my internet will hold.
Okay.
Sorry about that.
No worries. Okay. So let's proceed and invite Brother Setshaba to read for us, and then we shall go around and share our thinking. Brother Setshaba, you are welcome to read. Thank you.
No, thanks, the chair of the session for now. The paragraph from our reading goes like this. The evil of capitalism consists in its alienation of the fruit of labor from those who with the toil of their body and the sweat of their brow produce this fruit. This aspect of capitalism makes it irreconcilable with those basic principles.
But that's a Shabbat. Slow down slightly.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Must I start from the scratch?
You can, but just slow down so that we follow you and then take it in as you read. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay. Okay. This aspect of capitalism makes it irreconcilable with those basic principles which animate the traditional African society. Capitalism is unjust. In our newly independent countries, it is not only too complicated to be workable.
Oh, hold on. Which one are you reading?
The last sentence before the second paragraph.
Is that what is on the screen?
Yep, that's what on my screen.
What's on your screen? It doesn't start from the evil of capitalism?
Yeah, it starts from there.
Okay, good. All right. Please proceed.
Okay. Capitalism is unjust. In our newly independent countries, it is not only too complicated to be workable, it is also alien. Under socialism, however, the study and mastery of nature has a humanist impulse and is directed not towards a profiteering accomplishment, but the affording of ever-increasing satisfaction for the material and spiritual needs of the greatest number. Ideas of transformation and development, insofar as they relate to the purpose of society as a whole and not to an oligarch purpose, are properly speaking appropriate to socialism. Thank you.
Yeah, that is amazing. Can I ask you to read again? Is that okay, Brother Setshaba?
No, that's okay.
That was a lovely reading. If you just read it again for us, thank you so much.
All right. The evil of capitalism consists in its alienation of the fruit of labor from those who with the toil of their body and the sweat of their brow produce this fruit. This aspect of capitalism makes it irreconcilable with those basic principles which animate the traditional African society. Capitalism is unjust. In our newly independent countries, it is not only too complicated to be workable, it is also alien. Under socialism, however, the study and mastery of nature has a humanist impulse and is directed not towards a profiteering accomplishment, but the affording of ever-increasing satisfaction for the material and spiritual needs of the greatest number. Ideas of transformation and development, insofar as they relate to the purpose of society as a whole and not to an oligarch purpose, are properly speaking appropriate to socialism. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much, Brother Setshaba, for reading again. First time you've read in our session. We really appreciate that. Brother and sisters, there's only one brother here for now. So we're going to now go around and hear what people think about what we have just heard. So we shall start with Sister Portia, because of the way she does it. Shares her thinking paragraph by paragraph and then shares her overall thinking. So Sister Portia, are you happy to start the sharing with us? Oh, by the way, are there any words that anyone wants us to look into first before Sister Portia starts? I think all the words are understandable, aren't they? There are no words that we need to go into. Is that correct, everyone? And if that is so, then Sister Portia, you may proceed with sharing your thinking. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Prof. Can everyone hear me all right?
Yes, we
Excellent.
can. Thank you.
Okay, excellent. Prof, you had me laughing when you were saying brothers and sisters. Yes, and the brothers are coming. We know we will always be there with our brothers, but I was giggling on the call. So thank you for the starting humor, Prof. Thank you.
Yeah, okay. Well, just so you know, when we started many years ago, it used to be sometimes just one sister with us. So it has reversed. Now we have more sisters than brothers.
That's right. That's right. Malcolm X, I'm paraphrasing, but Malcolm X says, we'll wait for you. So we'll wait for the brothers. They coming. All right. Okay. All right. Let me do my thinking. So this is my initial thinking, and then I'll do my additional thinking. With the initial thinking, I go line by line. So the first paragraph, it has 3 sentences. And the first sentence is saying racial capitalism is toxic. So basically, what a person has in how they come into this earth, to till the land, to be with family, all of those sources of those resources under a toxic system like racial capitalism or systems, that becomes inalienable. and they don't have inalienable rights, even though we all know we do have inalienable rights. But under a racial capitalist system or systems, a person rights, those basic human rights, they are just treaded upon, and they are non-existent. That is how that system or system goes. And then the second sentence is a traditional and indigenous African community is not toxic. So a traditional African community or communities is prosperous, it's healthy, it's communal. And then the third sentence says that racial capitalism is chaos. So an example of that, if you look at the 19th century, the 20th century, even the 21st century, those African nation states, they fail in such toxicity. So it makes sense. And then when you look, I was talking with a relative, when you look at the globalness of Black people all around the world, I said last week about those 12 billionaires, only one is Asian, they're all men, the 11 are white men, and they have all of that economic wealth. When you look at us globally, you can see why we are so challenged in such a system or systems, because it is not indigenous to us. So that's what I was saying about granting ourselves grace. Now, the second paragraph, it has two sentences, and that first sentence says that in that indigenous African community or communities, we were in harmony with nature, the natural world. And that was always about we. It was never about me. Even though we knew I am because you are, we hear that saying, but really it was for the collective. And so satisfaction was holistic and it was sustainable. And then the second sentence, change or healthiness is thus linked with a community or communities rather than a few individuals, those 12 billionaires, 11 people, European presenting, one Asian presenting, biological males would never ever exist and did not exist in such indigenous African communities. So now to my additional thinking. Right now, in different parts of Africa, gambling, which is that toxic racial capitalism, is being introduced throughout the continent. And who is it targeted to? It's targeted to those young people, majority biological male. And what's happening? They are becoming addicted because it has that illusion that if you get this money, everything will be okay. And now there are African states increasing the taxes on the gambling. So that gave me pause at the example about it is not of indigenous African communities. And then the second point that also gave me pause, I read, and I won't mention the name of the nation state, but this nation state this week is out of favor with the United States American government. And how many decades ago was it the darling of the United States of America? Now, all of a sudden, this nation state is no longer a friend. And that's also what the toxic racial capitalist system does. It eludes us, or it hoodwinks us to think because we speak that good English, because we went to Yale, because we got to America, that now we are the friend of those of that racial capitalist system. England, we get the title OBE or whatever, sir, or whatever, Her Excellency. We get those titles because we obviously are intelligent, and we say, now we are the friends of England. Let me name them: France, Belgium, the Netherlands, United States of America, Australia. And we get in there and we like, yeah, we are here. And then what happens when that toxic racial capitalism system starts turning? We then see that it goes back to and resorts back to us being at the bottom. Not that we are bottom people, but it puts us at the bottom. So those are my thinking. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Sister Portia, for your thinking line by line and your additional thinking. We appreciate that so much. Let's now hear from Sister Tapua. So, Brother Setshaba, I'll give you some time to reflect on the reading as you did the reading. So I'll come to you in a moment just to give you some time to reflect. So, Sister Tapua, are you able to share your thinking? Thank you.
Yes, I'll share my initial thoughts. What caught me was the descriptive word, the evil of capitalism. Sorry, I've lost my script. Oh, okay. The evil of capitalism, because I think to name it as such is really important because of what it does to people. Because you work hard. Some of the hardest working people on earth are working class people. They work on many jobs. They work from early in the morning before the middle and upper class wake up to late at night. They have no relationship with their own children and family because they're committed to putting food on the table. And that's as far as they go, putting food on the table. If you have anything else to invest, that's an extra, but you hardly have any. For me, the second sentence, this aspect of capitalism makes it irreconcilable with those basic principles which animate the traditional African society. For me, this points to the problems that we've had as independent African countries, and also the unfortunate situation and assumptions that we've made when we went through the armed struggle. I'm referring to Zimbabwe here, because we kind of assume that because we are African and because we are Black and because we call each other brother and sister, we still hold on to the humanity that Africa or Africanness is supposed to imbue in us. But unfortunately, what then happens is, or what then happened is, whilst we thought we had won the struggle and we went back into our villages and into the towns, some of us had been caught by this evil capitalist spirit, which kind of alienated some of us from the Africanness that we are supposed to be imbued with. And that has become a challenge because we find that when we are now working with the capitalist system of democracy, we are oscillating between our Africanness and the individualistic oligarchy focus. You get Africans who are so wealthy, who are so filthy rich, and they're alienated from the generality of other Africans. And the unfortunate situation is we're still caught up in the tribe thing. He's ours, she's ours, they're Black, and so on. And we forget that not everybody has Ubuntu, and not everyone holds on to that belief. And that's become a very difficult Hercules heel for us to overcome as Africans. Because even when we are looking at the uniting the African continent, we're still thinking and focusing on some of those things or qualities that we derive as Africans. But there are amongst us people who would rather accumulate wealth at the expense of everybody else. And the unity of Africa, the unification of Africa is not their cup. And that presents a challenge because that means in our effort to unite Africa, the assumption that all Africans will want that unity for the sake of everyone is incorrect. Because there are people who, just like some people fought for the liberation of the different countries so that they would get to be the new white person, they would get to be the new exploiter. There are people who are also fighting for Africa to be independent, to be united, so that they become the exploiters. I had the occasion to have my, I call them my antennas went up because whilst we're inviting our brothers and sisters from the diaspora to come and invest in Africa, I've said to myself, what does that mean? What do they understand about investing in Africa? Because if it is from a position of a capitalist point of view of investing in Africa, they're investing in Africa. There's the danger that they could be investing in Africa not for the sake of the community, not for communal, not, but for the enriching of themselves. Because there's now this competition that if you don't come to invest in Africa, China will, or someone else will. We'd better go in there because this is our land, this is our brothers. But what philosophy are we, both people on the continent who have the capital and those coming from outside who don't have, coming into the African continent with? On the second paragraph, under socialism, however, the study and master of nature has a humanistic impulse. That is where we're trying to orientate ourselves so that we are able to get our humanity back and we're able to influence the ideas and transformation and development so that we relate to the purposes of society as a whole, not to an oligarchy purpose, which is us admitting that do we as individuals need to accumulate the amount of things that we are accumulating? Because if we're looking at this is why I've always argued that whilst we're thinking of developing Africa, we need to be conscious of the fact that we cannot develop Africa at the rate and to the same level as those people that develop from theft. We need to pace ourselves and not be under pressure to live up to people who stole from us. We need to be able to say to ourselves, our development is going to be at our own pace without ourselves being pressured. Because a lot of us who are worshipping capital and capitalism want to be like the capitalists that have exploited us. We're living in the same houses, trying to live the same lifestyle, educating our children in the same way, and then we're claiming we want to be African. This is why I think we need to just rethink everything because capitalism is evil. We start competition in the classroom and we continue competition at the workplace. we continue competing in our lives in terms of who has the most as individuals. And I think we need to really think through that. I think I'll end here for now. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you for your thinking, Sister Tapua. Let's now go to Brother Setshaba, who did the reading. Brother, are you able to share some thinking on what you read? Or would you like me to come back to you later?
No, it's fine. I will contribute from
Excellent. Please proceed.
the space where
Feel free to call me brother Kwame, yeah?
Okay, no, right.
Rather than prof.
Okay.
Sister Portia says she does it out of respect.
Okay, that's fine.
All right, please carry on. Thank you.
Okay.
Professor Kwame, I do. You're our prof, man. You're our prof.
Thank you.
Okay. Now, I think having read the two paragraphs and looking at the two important words for me on the first paragraph, that is the evil part of it, of the system itself. It then confirms that the only way that it can maintain its evilness is through the alienation, which means that you divorce the person from whatever that he or she has done. But I was trying to look at it as it moves in today's aspects, where it is going in terms of its reconcilability, looking at the question of being an alien. That to ask a question maybe to the group rather than comment on that aspect, on that sentence, that if it's said as alien in the African context, but in today's life where some of us are, how alien does it become when it's being practiced by, like what Sister Kwame was saying, where it's practiced by the same people that are of our color? I mean, if you look at our governments, at all costs, they are going through that alienation in whichever form. And they are not even alienating us only on the economic space, but they are also alienating us politically, because you ended up in some countries, because I'm from South Africa, you ended up saying people must vote. But once people have voted, in terms of them of benefiting within the process of their vote, where things are done correctly, then they are dished to the periphery. So now the question that I was asking is it still an alien in our own condition, or it's something that has embedded in itself in ourselves as Africans? I think that's the first part. But when it comes to the question of socialism, I think also here, looking at Kwame and also looking at the readings that one would have done, there is also one critical issue that we must also deal with it directly here. That I know sometimes in the South African context, it raises and then it touches the people's toes. If you look at what socialism is outlined as here, the question of that capitalist system family that today we are living under, how do we locate it there? Because in itself, it's also anti-African society in terms of what is said above there. So I think these are some of the contradictions that one finds when he read this text, to say that, fine, we are saying that this system is evil, it alienates, it does all these issues, but it has also brought these social relations and the family setup that we are having today. And these are specifically issues that makes it to be sustainable in itself than for us at the end of the day to be able to deal with it. So thanks for that.
Yeah, thank you, Brother Setshaba. You may have spoken at length before. This is the first time I am hearing you kind of give an exposition. So thank you so much. Let me welcome the brothers who have joined us since. So sisters, it looks like the brothers are joining us as you said. Brother Christopher, welcome. Brother Ifo, welcome. Brother Coco, welcome. Brother Pigeon, welcome. Yeah, at some point we're outnumbered by the ladies. Yeah, no, thank you so much. Yeah, so those of you who joined, I believe you have been reading what is on the screen. We are reading the first two paragraphs. Yeah, so we are sharing our thinking on what we have read. Brother Setshaba read for us. Beautiful reading. I even read for us twice, which was really nice. So yeah, so we are still going around to hear what you think about what we've read. Yeah, a few issues have come up, and I suppose feel free to respond to those if you want. But at the same time, also share your thinking on the paragraph. Brother Welcome has his hand up. I believe he wants to share his thinking. Or ask us all questions. But Brother Welcome, before you speak, can I ask Brother Setshaba, did you want us to respond to the issue you raised, Brother Setshaba, about the social relations, the family, how capitalism has affected them? Did you want us to respond to that?
I would have loved to get that, because I was doing connection in reading the entire text. Much as here is good how we are dealing with paragraph per paragraph. But remember this evilness and the alienation. For me, I don't just locate it only in terms of the fruits of our labor that we find ourselves, but we are alienated in different way, even in the social and all aspect, because of the social ills that you pick up. I mean, we build big walls. So there's so many things that even I find coming out. And now the question becomes, like what I was posing there, that maybe I might need some comments from.
Yeah, no, thank you. I think living in South Africa, like you said, you visually see and experience the alienation at different layers, at different levels. And I think the point you raise is important, because I remember when apartheid came to an end in 1994. Some of us not long ago, we flew to South Africa. In fact, on the day that they had the first all South African elections, that is, everybody could vote, which had never happened before. This was in 1994, and I remember those of us in England, anyway, those of us in England, me and some of our friends, we went to a pub to celebrate. We spoke about it, we discussed it. It was back and forth, and there was jubilation in the air. People were excited. I mean, it was at the time revolutionary, because for so many reasons. Anyway, and then what then happened was, and then I went to South Africa not long after that, and it was at that time that the Africans who had the money or connections or whatever you want to describe them, they left Soweto. Because remember, in those days, they couldn't live in certain areas because of the laws of apartheid. Whites live separately from blacks, etc., etc. And so when all those laws were repealed, the Africans who had money now moved out of the black areas. And I think the point you are making, from what I understand, Brother Setshaba, is that in itself is a form of alienation. And living behind high walls is part of the alienation. In fact, one of our friends, if I recall, was shot in his own house because he traveled and he he let the security firm that was looking after the house, he let them know that he had traveled, because in South Africa, if you are wealthy, you have to be really careful. When you travel, people can come to your house and raid your house, etc., etc. Anyway, unfortunately for him, as I understand, he came home a day earlier than he had told the security firm. So the security firm, they heard the commotion in the house, what they thought was commotion. So they interpreted that as a break-in, came there, and they shot him, even though he was in his own house. So, but the point is that is part of the alienation. We're so alienated that we even shoot our own people. So I think you raised the point, and I think what Brother Setshaba has raised in terms of the alienation, even within families, etc., is a legitimate point. If anybody wants to, while sharing your thinking, if you want to address that, that would be great, because Brother Setshaba wants that addressed in our thinking. So thank you very much. Brother, welcome. Over to you now. Thank you.
Greetings, everybody. Greetings, Brother Kwame.
Greetings.
Now you took me too far. I've
But
forgotten where I wanted.
You've been further than that. you were in the trenches.
To say, let me start a little bit naively with my thinking. To say capitalism is alien, maybe we have to take time factor into consideration. By the time of going to press by Brother Kwame and Nkrumah, capitalism ought to have been or was inherently alien to African setup. Unfortunately, when Nkrumah them have taken over, capitalism was inherited. And us who have taken over has validated it because we are practicing it until today. Are we still going to say capitalism is alien? And how much have we tried, have we done to kick out this alien system that has been explicitly said by Kwame Nkrumah that it is alien? And more so, at independence, we lacked so much. We did not reorientate our people from colonialism to the new setup. We got independence, not knowing what to do, not knowing how to behave. What we thought was, now we have to live like the colonial masters. And that's where everything went wrong, and that's where Ubuntu has gotten lost. That's where humanism has gotten lost. Because we were not reoriented, we reoriented ourselves to think like the colonial master. And we are now trapped in that mindset. How are we going to break free from that? That's my thinking. I hope it makes sense.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Well, thank you. You've raised some really important points there on the question of alienation. But I suppose we will come to that as we hear more and more people speak. Brother Pigeon gave a presentation. He did a presentation, I believe, to the GAC some time ago, in which he addressed some of this very issue of alienation, in the sense that did Nkrumah set an example in terms of how our leaders should live, how they should, whether they should accumulate wealth, whether they should live in mansions away from the people. As Brother Setshaba has said, is that the example Nkrumah set? And I think Brother Pigeon gave a presentation in which he explained that that is not, Nkrumah set the example. Unfortunately, not everyone was prepared to follow that example. Brother Pigeon, do you remember that presentation you gave on the?
Yes.
Are you able to just share a bit of that if you recall the details? Thank you.
I don't know if I can trace it, but yes, the element was to look at Nkrumah per se in terms of his contribution and how he tried to make things work as what he believed in, and also what happened after that, you see. And I think that's been a conversation all over, whether did Nkrumah live by example of what he said. And if you leave the issues of political things that people used to talk about, whether he was of one-party state, whether he was trying to silence opposition voices, but when you look at his model of infrastructure and development in terms of how he perceived the community and society, and look at even what sometimes we have been told, his own lifestyle, how did he live? You see, it truly confirmed that he was trying to walk to this path. But again, you see, Brother Kwame, as we've learned here that Nkrumah lived both in Ghana and then went out and then came back and went to London and started to practice something. And I don't know, sometimes they say that the background of a person informs a lot of how a person turned to be. And I think we've shared a lot of how Nkrumah was raised up in terms of what the life they lived in with the mother and all the suffering and in the community and in the society, in the villages. And how he ascends to where he studies. And when he goes out, the life he lived in America, the work he did there for him to survive, and the pursuit for knowledge, that what took him to pursue the knowledge. When he tells us in introduction that various people perceive knowledge or pursue knowledge for various purposes. But the radical, the third category of students are those who pursue knowledge for the purpose of emancipation, you see? So then he comes back to look at, because he lives in the colonial context, colonialism under that time. But he's coming back with the knowledge for purpose of emancipating his community. And by emancipating is either taking the community to that social life or the socialism that the community used to live. And that's why I remember, Brother Kwame, sometimes back we had a conversation whether do we need a reform or a revolution, and even the definitions, whether reforming is going to pick back whatever was there, or revolution is to create something so new. And that definition was offered by Nkrumah as well. So that's briefly what I can say about it, but I'm interested to share more on these two paragraphs.
Yeah, do you remember when you did the presentation, you spoke on whether he himself accumulated wealth? As far as you remember, that Nkrumah himself in his, yes.
That's an example of his lifestyle on how he lived, because the question was then, wealth he accumulated. And I'm not a Ghanaian, but people have confirmed, and Brother Kwame, you also testified this. And I think the daughters came back and did not have a land or even a house. I think you said that in various confirmations. And look at the lifestyle they live. So even if I think apart from Nkrumah, I don't know if there's any president who has lived that close to what Nkrumah lived as a president, apart from what Thomas Sankara did a bit in terms of how he wanted to live. But Nkrumah actually confirmed to us that capital acquisition of money in terms of now the current capitalism was not his pursuit for leadership, or was not his type of leadership or lifestyle. That's what I can say.
That's very important. That so, brother, welcome the point you raised. Yeah, very important point you raised. And what Brother Pigeon, as I said, gave this presentation, and something we also discussed. And yes, Nkrumah did not build one house for himself. I mean, just think about that. From 1947, when he landed back in the Gold Coast, fought for independence, took 10 years to fight for independence, got independence in 1957. Ghana became independent in 1957. became a republic in 1960. Nkrumah himself, as you know, was overthrown in 1966. Leader of government business. You know, the CPP built houses for families that were so some families, in fact, a whole group of people were threatened because they were CPP, you know, and the CPP built estates for them in Accra and relocated whole families, whole communities. But he did never build a single house for himself. I mean, think about that. Anyway, we are still sharing our thinking, but as Setshaba has raised his hand, so let's hear from him, and then we'll come to Brother Pigeon. Yes, Brother Pigeon.
Yeah, after Setshaba, I'll be interested to go next. Thank you.
Yes, excellent. Yes, I will ask Brother Welcome if he's happy with the response so far, and then I'll come to you, Brother Setshaba. Yes, the floor is yours.
I think from where I'm sitting is to locate myself at the epoch that Kwame and his comrades and the others are living, and analyze that within the context of today and say, while we must appreciate that there's no pure person that can claim to be pure in a globally dominated alien system in our context, but that we have appreciated to live with and take it as normal and take the normality as abnormal. I'm saying that because when you look at firstly their crafting in terms of interpreting what today we cannot contest, secondly how they put that under those conditions of undeveloped Africa, then the question will always remain with us, for me, not with them, because what they have left for us, it's either we have one choice. It's either we appreciate what they have done, whether they will have been faults or whatever, or we decide we rather either modernize, and you can't modernize capitalism. It's evil. That is why you can't even think of modernizing it. It's evil. Something that alienates, it's evil in its nature and character. There will have been limitations in Kwame Dem and Nyerere's outlook in terms of one of those questions that I would have asked in terms of socialization, that they would have wanted to deal with that from a little bit of an idealist that is not out, that you cannot see outright out. But when you look at certain things, then you start to see that, but there's a little bit of idealism in these areas. But they were clear out in terms of moving towards what he has written here. So for me, that's where I'm sitting at, and that's why I believe that these classes doesn't only give us literature to read, but they also give us a literature to relook at ourselves from where they have left, what has become our role, limited they were, us not being limited. I mean, because I'm able, to communicate with comrades all over now easily. And that's, for me, the task that is key than any other thing. Thank you.
Yeah, Brother Setshaba, I think you have, thank you for that. Yeah, you are reminding us that this reading is also meant to help us ourselves locate ourselves as to where we are and what it is we want to do. So thank you very much. Brother Welcome. A small comment on what you've heard so far, and I'll go to Brother Pigeon. So don't share your thinking yet. Brother, welcome. Just respond. Thank you.
Thank you, Brother Kwame. When I've spoken the first time, I have asked the question, what are we doing to get ourselves out of that trap of capitalism? And Brother Setshaba has just put it rightly again. Let us not critique, or let us not question, or let us not try to interrogate what the Kwames them have done. The question should rather be, 63 years after Kwame them have tried, what have we done? What are we doing? Are we doing anything in order to reverse this alien capitalist system that we have inherited, adopted, and validated? Thank you.
Okay, no, thank you for that. In sharing our thinking, someone might want to address that question, whether that is even the way you have put it. I mean, can we say that is correct? Have we really done what you said? Or is there resistance on the ground in Africa against it? But as I said, as we share our thinking, we will come to that. Brother Pigeon. Thank you.
Thank you, Brother Kwame, and apologies for being late a bit, comrades. Greetings to the comrades in the platform.
Apologies accepted.
Brother Kwame, this is a personal contestation, because as Setshaba put it, this speaks not only to the society, because we remember this is ideology and society, but purely speak to us as members of the society as well, because the society is made up of us, you and me. And then there cannot exist a society without us, without me and you. Therefore, and I believe probably, because now we are almost coming to the end of this chapter, probably the key ideologies, if I'm correct to put it, you correct me, Brother Kwame, is capitalism and socialism. And it's very clear that then socialism talks about the society, but let's look at which society is this. Now, when Nkrumah says the evil of capitalism, remember before we were taught about, Nkrumah talked about the root of capitalism, feudalism, which was acquisition of basically land. And I want to bring the economic element in alienation here, because land is a factor of production. Then you move to imperialism that goes beyond land now to labor, which then leads to slavery. So there's a possession of individuals, there's a possession of land under capitalism for some benefit. Now I want us to bear in mind that these two elements, the lands and the people, are taken into captivity for economic purposes. Because if we remember, there cannot be economic production unless in this era of technology without land. There cannot be factory, there cannot be mining spaces, there cannot be anything agriculture you want to be if you don't have land. And that's why the statistics says that 60% of Africa is arable. And it's unused. Many of the foreign companies and countries are coming to Africa to take control of our land. Why? Because they know that the minerals that we have are on the land. So land here is an intention and is a key branch for capitalism. The second element of capitalism, as I've said, is the people. Now, if you talk about the people, remember that enslavement and slavery was purely for economic purposes, to go make production for some people who benefited out of that. But let's take those two alienation to date. Don't our land still being used for capitalist gain? Are we using our land for our communal or societies or societal gain? Very few countries still have communal lands. I was told with one of my sisters in South Sudan that if you want a land for investment in South Sudan, you'll go to the chief of the community and you'll get the land. Same thing we were told sometimes back by Brother Nunaki, that the elders still have some land. And some countries still have what you call community land. But when land become individual, and that's what I'm saying is a conflict here. We are all guilty of capitalism a bit because we now have what we call individual lands. We are individualistic owners of land. We have moved away from the communal ownership of land. And the land now you say you have a title deed for your land, and I have the same. Then that individualistic ownership of land, which is a means of production, which is a tool of capitalism. Now there are people who now have, like in the country Kenya, the family of first President Jomo Kenyatta are having over 550,000 hectares of land. That's almost one country in Africa. So an individual has been enabled to amass all land they acquire, they want, at the expense of others who live in what you call slums. Still, Africa exists slums, ghettos, in the same Africa where people own thousands and thousands hectares of land. Now let's look at man or human being when we come to labor. Now, we are possessions of the owners of the work or the employers who employ us. We are their properties, maybe in a different format, not in the previous format. If you work for a company, you're the property of that company. The company wants to use you as they want. They want to exploit you as they want. When you work in a mining, like our sisters and brothers in Congo and DRC, the children that work in the mine, they are properties of the owner of the mine, who happen not to be us, but them. If you're working in an industry and a factory, in a house and everywhere else, you are a property. And that you as a being or as a human being or whatever you are a means of production. Now, let's bring these two together in terms of now when you talk about the alienation of the fruit of labor. Let's look at the fruits of our land in Africa. Is it in the current context alienated from us? When we hear our gold, minerals, and diamonds and the rest leaving the continent, is it not being taken away from us, the owners of the land? Yes, it is being alienated from us. Let's look at the toil and the sweat we put through as the workers of the entire globe. Is it commensurate to what we earn? We have doctors who treat in high-end hospitals, but when they get sick, they can never be treated in the same hospital because they cannot afford it. We have workers in various sectors that cannot, for example, we have teachers who teach in the best schools in this country, but their kids cannot afford it. And therefore, they cannot take their kids to the same school. And that goes across all sectors. We have people who work in a hotel that cook the best food, but they cannot eat it. They'll have to sell it. In the continent today, these trade agreements with either America, Europe, trade agreement being signed, my country signs them every day. Sometimes I sit down to listen to them. We ensure that we produce the best of the best food in the continent, but for export. And we enjoy it because we've exported it for profits and gains. But what happens to us in Kenya? One day I asked that question. We don't care about the standard of the food we eat in the continent, but we are very cautious of the standard of the food we want to give them to eat. We sleep hungry here and go without food, but we produce to make them food sufficient. This is very irreconcilable with the basic principles that animate the traditional African society. As you can see, that is the root principle of capitalism, exploitation. The entire thing we're talking about is pure exploitation. But the principle that animates the African traditional society is egalitarianism. But the question is, are we ready to go back? Is it too late to go back to our egalitarianism and traditional African society? Can we still carry forward? And Nkrumah reminds us that socialism, the parent of socialism is communism. So communism or communalism, living in community, communalism, its present format is socialism. Capitalism, ancestry is from feudalism, imperialism, and enslavement. And Nkrumah asks us, how do you fuse these in various chapters? How do you fuse it with technology? So just to be very fast, the question is, can we still live our African traditional society in this 21st century? And the answer should be, is it possible to live the principles of socialism, which is egalitarianism? Is it possible? Muammar Gaddafi writes it in The Exploitation of Women. And Thomas Sankara talks about it. Even women suffer exploitation in the family. Apart from the injustices the family or the society push to women, but even in the family, they still suffer the same injustice. And Brother Kwame have always been asking, do we really consider the labor the woman put in the table in terms of their contribution? Or because they don't work, we say they are not contributing anything? Do we really appreciate and compensate that? Or are we also exploiting them in the same format? Now, the entire structure of socialism has been discussed here. I'll not want to talk about it much, but you see, it talks about the study and the mastery of nature. And we believe in this philosophy that our universe is a natural universe. So if we can then tap to the mastery of nature, then it directs us not towards profiteering, but towards affording increasing satisfaction. Not for only material, but both for spiritual great number, for all of us. The ideas of transformation and development, in so far as they relate to the purpose of the society as a whole, are not an oligarch purpose, then are properly appreciated in socialism. If you want the development of the entire society, if you want everybody to develop and everybody to be equal, and so that you can see development across. For example, as I end this, when people come to power, they develop some sections, their tribe, their family, and whatever. Have we as individuals also been alienated from our society? When you get rich in the community, do you only fence your community, your house, your parents' house, put the fence, put lights, put street, whatever, put water, and the next neighbor doesn't have anything? Does it mean we have also alienated ourselves in the midst of the society? And that's what I'm saying. We are guilty of capitalism. And we have to work out collectively to socialism. Thank you very much, Brother Kwame, and the entire group. Thank you. Back to you, Chair.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, so I think, yeah, thank you for your thinking. Yeah, so the question of alienation is coming up a lot. And so what I am reading into that is that that is something that members here have noticed, have thought about, are concerned with. In the village, as far as I have experienced, in the morning, people come around to greet you, and the greeting alone is like it's like a choir. Some African families really have developed sophisticated systems, and it's just amazing to listen to how they even greet. It's like almost like singing a song. When one person sings a part, the other sings a part, Inde, family, the Vio, Apiamato, and then the other ones also responding. Ufon, Uli, Ufon, Uli. I mean, it's just amazing. I'm saying all this just to say that that kind of linking up with people just to see how you are, also, if you like, is a way to, within our humanist system, our humanist social structures, it's a way to banish isolation, to remove alienation, and so on. How can, as the brother Pigeon has said, how can you have so much and just next door the other neighbor has nothing, and it's yeah. So we are still hearing people's thinking on the paragraphs on the screen. Let's I asked the question whether we can say, as the welcome has said, that no one is challenging. Is capitalism established, or is it facing resistance? Warm Up Africa, are you fighting for a borderless Africa because capitalism is established, or do you want to get rid of capitalism? Please share your thinking. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Greetings, everybody. Greetings all. Yes,
Yebo. Sawubona,
we are
greetings.
all in the capitalist society. The capitalist society that we are living, that we have adopted, that is where we are all immersed in. And we are trying, like what is happening in this Consciencism class, to try and make our people, make ourselves to lead in conscientizing people, or in trying to let people aware of the norms which the Africans were in, which were good, and also to be aware of the vices that we have carried on, which are killing ourselves and which are being perpetuated, and we are seeing them as normal. These vices are now being taken as normal. This is where our community or our socialism, communitalism have been eroded or have been spoiled. So this is the chance where we are as people to try and to talk about it, then act in the way that shows that we want to move out of this capitalist mentality and the capitalist info. Yes, we cannot say tomorrow we'll be out, because we are already working as working class. We are immersed in these capitalist vices, but we have to come out and slowly conscience our people so that we start to share our norms. We start to practice our norms so that at one point or another, we hope the next 2-3 generations from us, they will emancipate themselves from these old vices and then go back to our normal communist or socialist living, which we were doing in Africa. So as One Map Africa, as you have asked, yes, we are trying to promote and we are trying to let people know that the capitalists, for them to perpetuate their vices, they divided us so that we start to be enemies to our brother, enemies to our sister, enemies to all our relatives. So that is one vices that they used to try and control us, to try and ensure that we fight amongst ourselves, so that we draw attention to my brother or my sister whom I am trying to have conflict with, because they've encroached into my yard, they've encroached into my land, they've encroached into my field, they've encroached into my country. Because I'm personalized, like what Brother Pigeon was saying, we are now doing individualistic, personalizing everything. Even the country that I am in is my country and the other is not my country. Then when I am in my neighbor's country, I become a foreigner, I become an alien. where I should be proud to be on my relatives' house. I'm not proud. I'm just treated as somebody who have to leave tomorrow or by the end of the day. So that is what is making this capitalism felt strongly, so that in One Map Africa, we are trying to say, let's all gather and all lobby for the removal of this boundary of individualistics that have been imposed on us. It's one of the vices that are within us and within our community. So once that is done, we are going to make sure that we own as a community, as a family. Then I also honor my brother's thing or my relatives' things, and I take it as mine, so that we have communal protection of our resources, communal protections of what we have, whatever minerals which are being taken out. If we all say this is our minerals, we own these minerals, then we have control to say, no, you cannot mine them and take them where you want. This is for us. So that is what the communal ownership is all about. And this is how we can start to do away with capitalism. If we can try and remove these vices which have been keeping us for centuries now, and we are still under it, we try to lobby so that the next coming generation, it might 2, 3 or so generation, they might be more enlightened, and then they are freed from all these vices. And we hope this will bring Africa to the Africa that we want, to the Africa that we will call home, Africa that we will call our shelter, our resources, where we tap and enjoy the richness of Africa. That's what I can say for now. Thank you.
Yeah, so Brother Chidi, from what you have said, from my understanding, what you have said, is that the alienation itself is the way in which Africa has been divided up. That you are in Tanzania and you are home. When you move to Kenya, you are an alien. I mean, that is the madness that I think your One Map Africa is trying to end. And that is what CSG, as you know, is also about in terms of unification of Africa. So thank you for sharing real life experience of the alienation. So from what Brother Setshaba said, the alienation even is not just at the family level. You know, it's the way in which our communities have been forced to exist, is the way in which the rich and the poor live, is the way in which in at work, the way in which our products have been alienated, is even at the level of the nation, where even at the level of Africa. So this is an interesting discussion we're having here in terms of the evil of capitalism. Let's hear what Brother Ifo has to say. Brother Ifo, can you share your thinking, please? I have seen your hand, Sister Portia. I'll come to you in a moment. Brother Ifo, what is your thinking?
Please go to the sister first, because I am cooking, but I should be done by the time she's done.
It's okay. Okay. Sister has already spoken, so maybe she wanted to ask a question, but she has shared her thinking. So we normally try and hear from those.
I need 5 minutes, otherwise I'll burn.
It's fine. Yeah, no, you cook. Yeah, just unfortunately we can't be with you whilst you eat, but yeah, please.
You're always welcome to come and eat in my kitchen. My house is your house.
Thank you. When I'm at home, I will definitely visit. Right. Let's hear from Brother Coco. Brother Coco, can you share your thinking, please? Okay, but Coco is not ready. So, Sister Portia, maybe you can slip in your comment or question.
Thank you, Prof. Well, I just want to say mic drop to all of the people who have spoken, and to Brother Ifo, I'm hungry, so I will be coming to your home sometime soon. I can tell you that. That's African right there. And even in the South, You don't come to people's home in the South, and if they don't offer you food, it's an anomaly. So that's something we've carried over. And then I want to go to Queen Sister Tapua's point. She put it in the chat, and she said it so well. It's something that I've been saying as well, and I just want to echo what she said. When we talk about indigenous African communities and those principles that King Brother Pigeon said, it's not going back. It is going forward. If I've interpreted what the Queen Sister was saying in the chat. So this idea of thinking, well, we can't go back, we're in the 21st century. Actually, those indigenous principles, those things, the Mayat principles, for example, is so many. That's not going back. That's actually rejuvenating us. That's empowering us. That's sustaining us. So I just want to emphasize that. And I want to give a practical example about how we as Black people give ourselves grace. Just keep giving ourselves grace, because these systems are treacherous. And for us to have survived it, even though we have our issues, I don't think it's any person on this call who has not been negatively impacted by imperialism, for example. So we are survivors. And so we just honor that. And then the last point I want to say, I said it last month and I'm going to keep saying it. When I came and I hit rock bottom and I returned to my family after almost 20 years, and my family, they welcomed me like I had left yesterday. That's Africa. That's our core. And then after I got through all of that shame, I talked to a relative. I'm not going to say their name. I didn't get their permission. And they said they remembered when I had first went to Africa, how I came back and was talking to them and empowering them or saying positive words. They remember that. So we must not keep playing so much emphasis on financial paper money that ain't even real as our rejuvenation. Our rejuvenation is in what we teach our young people, that they are somebody that they can surmount, that they can speak 10 and 15 languages at a time, and that where we are from is beautiful. I yield.
Looks like you already started your Saturday presentation. Right, thank you so much. Yeah, so let's go to Green Auntie. Your thinking, please.
I was available now. Do you hear me?
Yes, Brother Coco. All right. Green Auntie, please hold on. Brother Coco.
Apologies. I am still at the office. So I had to find an office where I could share my views quietly. After listening to all the speakers tonight, I feel like the stars are aligned. I feel the spirit amongst us. And I'm thinking it's not bad to make a comparison with the church, where most of the Christians go. They go there because they are looking for spiritual nourishment. And we come here week in, week out, because we are seeking our own spiritual nourishment as Pan-Africanists. Listening to Brother Pigeon, it really took me to places.
Pigeon. Coco, it's Pigeon, not Pigbin. It's Pigeon. Thank you. Please proceed.
Thank you, brother. You nearly.
Sorry about that. I should, because people keep mispronouncing his name, and poor man, he doesn't say anything. So I'm correcting us on his behalf. Sorry about that.
That's all right, brother. There is one thing here which I need to raise. Talking about Brother Setshaba. I'm going to talk about Brother Setshaba here, and then I'll link his point with what Brother Chidi said, and also to what Brother Pigbin said, in sort of trying to share my views on what has been read today. Setshaba. Setshaba means community. It's a Sesotho word which means community. It means society It means the people. It means the nation. And in Ubuntu, normally we usually say motu, ke motu, kabatu, because we are saying I am because we all are. But there's one which is rarely used, which is that morena, ke morena, kasicha. That says the chief is only a chief due to the virtue of his people. The people put the chief there to be a custodian of everything that they are. He represents them. So when we talk about the land being held at the communal level, is the chief who holds that land. And he holds that land for the people, not for himself or herself. So this is talking about the land. Then talking to Brother Chidi, is that I'm late because I was trying to educate one of my brothers in Lesotho. He was talking about the Africans and using the word kore kore. So I was going to say to him, kore kore are the Mashona. They are the Shona people in northern Zimbabwe. But what then the Southern Africans have done is to take the word kore kore to say anyone else who comes from the north of the Limpopo River is a kore kore. And that is an alienation. Is the way the alienation happens in Southern Africa. As us, as the people, we forget that we are all one and the same thing, which is anti what Brother Chidi was talking about. So, having said that, a quick word to say what we have read today is a classic Marxist teaching by Dr. Nkrumah. Marx talks about alienation. And to summarize what he just said is that capitalism separates people from the value they create and serves elite interests, making it unjust and culturally alien to Africa. Socialism, by contrast, directs knowledge and development toward the collective well-being of society. I'm happy to talk more about that to anyone who wanted to know, but given that the time is limited and there are a lot of us who want to talk, I'll probably stop here, but reference what is called surplus. With surplus, we, as the labor, we create surplus, but that surplus goes on to enrich someone else, the capitalist. And having said that, I'd like to remind you that we did have a reading in Dr. Nkrumah's book on page 71. I'll read that one and stop there. And that reading, it says, slavery and feudalism represent social political theories in which the deployment of forces is not a problematic question. In both nature, for the development of society. So, in both slavery and feudalism, workers, the people whose toil transforms nature for the development of society, are dissociated from any say in rule. By a vicious division of labor, one class of citizen toils and another reaps where it has not sown. In the slave society, as in the feudal society, the part of society whose labors transform nature is not the same as the part which is better fulfilled as a result of this transformation. If by their fruits we shall know them, they must first grow the fruits. In slave and feudal society, the fruit eaters are not the fruit growers. This is the cardinal factor in exploitation, that the section of a society whose labors transform nature is not the same as the section which is better fulfilled as a result of this transformation. So let me end there, brothers and sisters, and thank you for this session tonight.
And thank you too for for going back and reading a whole paragraph for us. That's really, really helpful. It's always good when when we get to areas that we are sharing our thinking on. It's always excellent when members go back to what we've read before and bring it up. So thank you very much, Brother Coco. Let's hear from those who haven't spoken yet, and then we will come to those who want to share their further thoughts on or comments. Brother, now, is that correct?
Yes, I am back. Can you hear me?
Yes, please. We know you've been eating alone, but it's okay.
No, I'm not eating alone. I was just cooking alone. I believe in community.
Please, thank you for correcting me. Share your thinking.
That's okay. I am like a grandmother. I cook for whoever is around. As long as they come with love. If not, I tell them to go outside, and when they have love back, they can come back.
Thank you.
So just a couple of quick things. Capitalism is not only alien to Africa, it is alien to most of the planet. It was the 1% of the societies at that time who were, if you go back to what was going up in Europe before they were colonized by the different kings and the different peoples, they had similar things. If you look at the stories of the Irish and the Scottish and the Welsh, you would think you were describing a traditional African society. So the lie is that this new alien phenomenon that is genocidal ideology, which gave birth to Nazism, is what we're pretending is normal, and it is not. I also like what the sister said when she talked about remembering that we are going forward, not necessarily not going back. And technically, if you look at what capitalism has done to Africa, it has taken us back. It has taken advanced societies that were egalitarian back to the nonsense of Europe. And so we need to use the principles of Sankofa to go back to the wisdom of our ancestors and bring that forward and apply to today. So when people ask or sometimes say that capitalism is what we have and what we have to work with, that is like saying, you know what, there's no need for us to try. Our ancestors should not bother to try to free themselves from slavery because that's just what it is. No, we need to revolutionarily wake up. Now, one of the good things, it's painful but good, is that I think back in the 80s, there was an illusion that capitalism was working. Now it is clear, even for those who are proponents, that it's not working. We see what the orange idiot in the US is doing. We see, even before that, we see the increase in poverty, not just in Africa, but we see increase in poverty all over the world. I live in the place that they stole, that they call Canada, and we are seeing an explosion of people who are working full-time jobs and they cannot afford rent, so they're living in the streets. Some of them are even dying in the streets. So I remind Africans, I think it was Malcolm X who said that I'm afraid we're trying to integrate into a burning house. The European system, the capitalist system, has not worked. It has not even worked in Europe. So, it's like I play football. So it's like you have somebody who has a team and a coach and a system, and they consistently keep losing. And you say, you know what? Let us hire those people that have been consistently losing and see if we can win. That's delusional. We have Africans still trying to figure out how they can get Europeans to help us to do something. How can they help you to do something they don't know how to do? It makes no sense. So there's a lot of wisdom in our ancestral ways, and we need to bring that forward. We need to tell our children the truth, because if we don't tell them the truth, they will continue to buy the lies of capitalism. There's one thing that capitalism is really good at, is propaganda. That's why how it can convince folks. Let's talk about US and Canada. Black Americans, Black Canadians, African Canadians who are suffering and who were suffering under the hell of imperialism joined the military to go and make other brown people in some other part of the world suffer like the way that they are suffering in the name of freedom. Even Muhammad Ali could not get respect when he came back. No, not Muhammad Ali. Who was it that came back and could? There are lots of the soldiers that came back from war and they could not get respect in their own homeland. So we need to understand that this system is anti-human. Some people try to call it Nazi ideology, but I think it's missing the point. Nazi is the stepchild of colonialism and capitalism. And it is what came before, because if you look at what did they do in South Africa, what did they do in Namibia, what did they do in sort of North America? They created, here they call it reserves in English. In Afrikaans, it's called apartheid. I live in Nova Scotia. Nova Scotia exported. They have people from South Africa that came here to learn how can we efficiently steal from people. And then they went and they created South Africa based on the province I live in of Nova Scotia. So it's all been theft. And unfortunately, some of our people have borrowed that, because when you go to colonial school, they teach you capitalism is the way and socialism is evil. And then they convince you that the best thing you can do is to hoard as much resources for yourself so you can be the big man or the big woman of the community. And that is madness in my mind. So I think once we continue to remember the wisdom of our ancestors and continue to remember the stupidity, the deep depth of stupidity of colonial systems, then and tell our children those truths, then we'll be able to move forward with wisdom and in truth. And on that note, I yield the mic. Thank you.
Thank you, brother Ifo, for your sharing your thinking. So we are still sharing our thinking. Let's when we share our thinking, also link what we are saying to the texts on the screen, and that will then enlighten others, because we are speaking a lot of wisdom from what all of us are sharing. So when we link it with the text, it illuminates other people, because remember, other people are watching these videos. They can't be with us, but they watch the videos. So let's go to Sister Tapua. Please share your comments or questions, then we'll proceed from there. Thank you. You've had your hand up for a while. Sister Tapua?
Yes, thank you. Thank you very much. It's just dawning on me that I think this is why Kwame Nkrumah, from my point of view, was totally misunderstood, as there's literature that says he probably was deposed because of dictatorship and so on. Because what we have in capitalism is capitalism breeds an appropriate government that supports it. And what we are doing as Africans is adopting that government that supports capitalism, and we're trying to put humanism in it, and it will not work. It will never work, because I'm thinking of the structures that we have in our societies, because I'm thinking of governments and institutions are supposed to be supporting what the people want, the philosophies and the ideas that the people espouse. And what we have here is a struggle that we will not win. We will not win as uniting Africa and as advancing humanity's cause, because we actually been captured by a later human being. Because I'm thinking of our Anunnaki here. Africans have been on Earth far longer than any other person. any other type of person. And in so doing, you are forced by circumstances, you evolve and develop, and you come up with a system that acknowledges everybody, a system that looks after everyone, a system that says that if you're not happy, I am not happy, a system that says that your survival is my survival. I'm thinking that if the system that we have now, that we've inherited from the capitalists, is the system that we want to use to see us through, then it's futile. But I'm glad that at an individual level, at a village level and a community level, I'm thinking of my mother tongue. When we greet people, when something good happens to you, if somebody says to you, "Morning, how are you?" Your comment is, "I'm fine if you are fine. Congratulations." It's difficult to translate when you're putting it in another language, especially when you're putting it in English, because we say, "Your victory is my victory. You've done well. You've done well for us." That's the response. So that whatever we're doing, whenever we go to weddings, we go to celebrations, there's always that vibe that what your success is our success. When you're injured, we feel injured too. And as long as we are maintaining that and we're passing that to our children, it will make sense, because you cannot afford to eat if your neighbor has no food. Because even building walls has not stopped people from jumping over the walls, because people have to eat. I'm actually struggling because we've taken over in terms of
Yes.
independence. Just one more point.
Okay.
In terms of independence, and we're talking about giving people title deed in perpetuity for an individual. What's going to happen when I'm gone with those titles? What's going to happen to those people who were born in circumstances where they were not able to get title deeds? What's this thing about one family owning 500,000 hectares of land? I mean, it's crazy. It's madness. I know Maponga says they come and defile our rivers, defile our land, and accumulate gold in vaults, leaving death behind. What's that? It's total madness. I think I've got to stop here. Thank you.
Yeah, I think you've put it very nicely. Madness. To be aliens is to be mad. But yeah, thank you for sharing your thinking, your further thinking on the matter. We still have a few people who haven't spoken yet, so let me get to them. One is Brother Welcome. Brother Welcome.
Brother Kwame.
Yes, you noticed how your rhetorical question has has inspired interesting answers.
That was my thinking, Brother Kwame.
No, I know that was your thinking, and you deliberately put the mouse with the cats.
Yeah.
Yes.
My thinking, my last thought is this alienation is man-made. It shall never win us. We shall overcome. With the right spirit invoked, with the right mindset at play, and the path we have taken, CSG, One Map Africa, all Pan-Africanists, we shall overcome, but we must keep it with a time frame. That's the most important. Otherwise, it's going to take us another 65 years. I yield.
Thank you very much. The other person who hasn't spoken yet is Brother Mauli. Oh, Menzi, Green Anki. Yes. You've been
Yes,
here.
yes.
Yeah, no, sorry about the delay. You've been here for a while.
Oh, greetings. Hello,
Uh,
Sanbonani. Greetings, Hetep,
mm.
Africa. Am I audible?
Yes, very much so.
Oh, okay. No, thanks to every speaker, everything that was said by everyone here has been really edifying, and I recently, around January, left most of the groups that I'm part of on WhatsApp, even 99% of the groups. So I have not been speaking and doing any advocacy anywhere. I just needed time. But I love this group very much because it focuses on a master, what we call master teacher, someone who lived and exemplified this Pan-Africanism, this Pan-Africanist ideal that we know that it is a key to our emancipation, both mentally, economically, and otherwise. So Nkrumah is one of those. But anyway, let me just get to my point. I was thinking as I was listening
Oh, but by the way,
and reading the
thank you for your
passage.
kind words.
Yes, indeed. There's very few. There's a lot of talk shops, a lot of groups. They have a lot of talking. There's just people just talk for, I don't know what, for the sake of talking. People want to share a whole lot of things, but their sharing has no direction a lot of the time, and there's no foundation. And Nkrumah is one of our foundation, and he's a foundation which is on top of another foundation like Gavi and many others before him. So speaking of foundations, reading Nkrumah and reading this particular passage reminds me of Steve Bantu Bigo's "I Write What I Like," where he speaks about how he doesn't speak about socialism per se, and he tries to avoid that because the apartheid government was trying to trap him into confessing that no, you are communist, and therefore communism, like someone said earlier, communism is an evil. Liberalism and democracy and all these other isms are the real thing. That's what people need. So in his words, he was very guarded against use. He would use socialism, but he would not use communism on purpose. But he mentions in the court case that in the trial that he was having that black consciousness is about restoring the humanity of African people who have been alienated from nature and from themselves and their culture. So I'm paraphrasing Bigo here, but he also keeps insisting in another paragraph. I think not in the trial now, but in the writing, in the what do they call this? He used to write in with a pseudonym called Frank Talk, and he mentions that black consciousness is about restoring a more human face to all of humanity, where color doesn't matter anymore. You see, so and I think Brother Ifo mentioned something very important, which a lot of our brothers in the black consciousness and other Pan-Africanist circles tend to forget, is that capitalism is a design of the 1% in Europe and which oppressed even Europeans and continues to oppress Europeans, Canadians, Americans, and everybody else everywhere. And it's the same 1% oligarchs, etc., who are doing this oppression. And it seems like the masses are somehow alienated from themselves in such a way that we cannot make the necessary unity of purpose happen in order to topple these 1%. So reading this passage for me just reminds me of Bigo. But also lastly, I need to say this part because Nkrumah inspired a lot of other scholar activists. Walter Rodney, reading this passage reminded me of Walter Rodney writing about Bigo. I have a book here on Walter Rodney. I forgot what it's called. Not the one about how Europe underdeveloped Africa. There's another. It's like the speeches. It's a collected speeches of Walter Rodney. There's a part where he is defending Nkrumah against those who say that his sort of socialism was not scientific. And he goes at length in many chapters explaining that how Nkrumah was not about just taking a socialism of Russia, Germany, or Europe, anywhere, and just basically cutting and pasting it into Ghana or cutting and pasting it into Africa. But Nkrumah was very deliberate in ensuring that the socialism that he is talking about already exists in Africa. But what has happened is a slavery and the various isms, the various oppressions that have been put upon us, capitalism to be specific, and imperialism, it has alienated us from the very things that and the values that make us who we are. So Walter Rodney is very important to juxtapose, to read next to Nkrumah, because Walter Rodney was able to clarify what other people call the contradictions within Nkrumah. And when I joined, we were talking about Nkrumah's exemplary actual life, that he never lived an opulent life. He could have done it, but then he inspired Sankara, and Sankara inspired others, even inspired people in South America. Sankara and Nkrumah inspired some of the socialist leaders in South America, and even as far as India, as far in the Far East. Yeah, so in a nutshell, I'd like to just close with that, to say that these ideals of being more humane, being more ma'atic, we call it ma'atic, living the ma'atic life, which is about harmony, social harmony, cosmic harmony, communal harmony, and internal harmony, which is righteousness and truth. These are the values that are intrinsic all over amongst every human being. It's just that with us as Africans who have been here on the earth longer, we live these values. It's not like a theory. It's an actual something that we are. It makes us who we are. Singabantu, and that "ntu" itself is a powerful word. But that's maybe a topic for another day. Makhosi amakhulu, ngiyabonga kakhulu. Thank you, brothers and sisters.
Well, listening to you is itself a form of restoration. Thank you so much. Please contact Brother Pigeon and share so you can give us a presentation on a Saturday. Thank you very much, Brother Menzi. So the only person left we haven't heard from I think we've heard from everyone except Brother Mauli and myself. General.
Anunnaki.
Yeah, General. I think the defeat of capitalism and the restoration will come when the Anunnaki return to save us. Yes? Please share your thinking, please. Thank you.
Give thanks, family, once again for this wonderful opportunity to hear all of your views and perspectives of righteousness. I'll be brief due to time. Yes, it's true what you're saying, Chair. It's actually true what you are saying, 100%. Because what's happening now is the economic global reset, whereby now they are ushering us into the digital world. As we all know, the move with the Matrix, the Terminator, those movies were psychologically preparing us for this time, because now we'll be dealing with the AI and stuff. So they most definitely preparing for that, because now, as you know, Elon Musk, they are continuing with their project to land human beings in Mars. So basically, what the white man is trying to do in a nutshell is that because they know that they've messed up planet Earth, now they want to leave planet Earth and leave us here and go to a new planet. So yeah, I think the intervention of our great ancestors, the black ancestors, will happen during those times, because I don't think they're going to allow them to reach there. Because now what's going to happen now is that they're going to fight with nuclear weapons to further damage the planet, and then that's just what's going to happen now. But we pray that our Pan-Africanism, our togetherness, obviously through Consciencism, we can at least prevent that from happening. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. Please bear with me so we hear from the last person, which is Brother Mauli, and I think that everybody would have spoken, which is wonderful. It's all wonderful to hear everyone speak. Brother Mauli, are you able to speak?
No, I'm actually on the road, so.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah.
Yes. No. So okay. So thank you. So in that case, we've heard everyone except myself, but I've been speaking and speaking, so that is fine. Yes. Yes, Brother Pigeon.
I will share so that you share your thinking, even if it's 1 minute or 2 minutes.
It will be brief because of time. Just to say that I tap into what you have all said. In fact, listening to Menzi was so soothing. I don't know how you all felt, but it was just so restorative. I mean, listening to him speak. But anyway, I've tapped into what everyone has said. It's been inspiring. From Brother Ifo in Canada to Setshaba. Setshaba. I want to pronounce it correct. It's Setshaba. Brother Koko, is that correct? Setshaba. Setshaba. I've always admired Zulu. You know, the Zulu language is just so musical, so amazing. It's such a beautiful
Setshaba. It's all right, brother. Setshaba is okay.
How do you pronounce it? Setshaba.
Setshaba. Thank you.
When I was in South Africa, I just loved the way they spoke. It was just an amazing.
The che is like chocolate. You say cha,
it's like
you say
music.
chocolate.
I mean, it's like
Chaba.
It's like they were playing. Anyway. Anyway, so, yes, Brother Pigeon. Yes, please check. So what? Thank you. Can I speak, Brother Pigeon? Am I allowed to speak?
Yeah, please.
I'll be very brief, and that is to say that the current events in the world link up with what we've been reading. The alienation is real, and the alienation expresses itself also in war, because capitalism, when it has a crisis, capitalism is a crisis-laden system because it alienates everyone. It even alienates its own practitioners. They become lovers of money. They become lovers of profit, and they can't see anything else. They lose their humanity. We can argue whether they are human in the first place. That's a different argument. But they lose their humanity. And in that alienation, it leads to war. So what we've seen since January, remember that General told us that Trump will win the war. Trump will win the election. And that's exactly what happened. And since then, what we have seen is all kinds of war, from abducting the president to killing old men in their houses, bombing them. I mean, so what we are seeing is the alienation of capitalism playing out, where it's lashing out at everyone, killing. It's been killing children, killing women, killing religious leaders. I mean, killing parliamentarians, killing children. Look at the children that were killed in Iran, for instance. So, yeah. So, Brother Pigeon, that is my contribution, that the alienation you've all talked about has been expressed on a global level for us all to see. And certainly, as Brother Ifo, Brother Menzi, and others have said, I think we will have to overcome this alienation in order to build a new Africa. Thank you.
Thank you, comrades. It's been a wonderful conversation. Very interesting. I intentionally chose those two paragraphs for our discussion because they were then two sides of a conversation. And for everybody who have shared their thinking, thank you very much. Brother Manze has been in our contact with me for a while now. It's been on and off, but Brother Manze, get in touch with me as usual so that we can discuss something. I think the chapter 3 is getting towards the end with a very clarion call as the pattern and the repetitive pattern of Kwame Nkrumah in all the chapters you've come before. So I'm very interested to look at how it will end, but I believe that we probably have 2 more classes or 3, then we'll be ending this chapter 3 as we get to chapter 4. To those who have been listening to these recordings, thank you very much for always being with us. We wish that you will join us one day. To those who are with us, it's been years now. Thank you very much for being with us. And to those who are joining us now, also feel most welcome. Without much ado, permit me to just allow Sister Portia to reiterate again the topic she'll be discussing this Saturday. I will not tell Brother Kwame to do that because Sister Portia will be doing that. Sister Portia, just reiterate again the topic, but I'll be doing the poster tomorrow in the morning.
Thank you, King Brother. I put it in the chat. It is surmounting imperialistic propaganda with a Kibbolethese formed plans. And I put the overview of what to be discussed in the chat. And King Brother Pigeon, you said you'll send out the poster tomorrow, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I'll get in touch with you as usual so that we discuss the content of the poster, and then we'll have a poster ready once you have agreed. So look forward to that tomorrow so that we can have an agreement on that. Is that okay, sister?
It's okay, King Brother. I wait for you to reach out. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Now, with that, Brother Kwame, I think we can bring our session to an end, unless there's anything from your side. Or the recordings. I've not been able to do the recordings, upload the recordings of last week. I've been having technical issues, but I hope I'll sort that as soon as possible so that I can share the recordings of the last week and this week, probably before the end of this week. I'll try my best so that I upload all the recordings. The recording on the Diaspora Sister Portia you did is now on YouTube. And I think you've checked that. It's now on YouTube, even though we have restrictions in some areas, but it's on our YouTube channel. So I'll be uploading the recordings of last week and this week as soon as I sort some few technical issues we are having. Back to you, Brother Kwame.
Any other announcements, brother?
No, only the of course, after Saturday, we have the Monday class, which is now getting to chapter 8. I believe so, those who are with us on Mondays. But we are not getting to chapter 8. We were supposed to discuss Burkina Faso and American medical deal. We were not able to do that also due to some technical challenges. On Monday, we'll be discussing that, the impact of America signing medical agreement to the Burkina Faso, how the Pan-Africans view it, how does it play Russia and the East that support Traore, how does that speak to the entire continent of the Africa, what's the content, the dangers, and all those things. So Brother Nunaki, Brother Coco, and other members who do attend the Monday, and all members will be able to attend, will actually be doing some presentation in that line. The Thursday will continue the Consciencism, and next Saturday we'll also announce the topic on that. But this Saturday we're having Sister Portia presenting to us. That's my announcement so far. Thank you. Back to you, Brother Kwame.
Thank you very much. And that is the end of the session for today. I'm going to now stop the recording. I'd like to thank all of you who have attended. The reader for today, Setshaba. I think I got it right there, Setshaba. Thank him for reading, and thank you all for attending. And we thank you so much. So that's the end of the